Surrounded by waters, Hong Kong has long been dependent on the sea. Archaeology has shown that fishing and oyster farming has been central to the natives' livelihood for more than 4,000 years ago. The natural shelter and deep waters of Victoria Harbour not only provided ideal conditions for these economic activities, but also attracted the British men, who later claimed Hong Kong after the Opium War. Under colonial rule, some parts of Hong Kong started to prosper. There were 4 points, namely the West, the Up, the Central, and the Down Point. The West Point is equivalent to today's Sai Wan. It is arguably the central commercial district in the early years. In this video, we will give a brief account of the changes as well as the importance of Sai Wan. We will also discuss on the invaluable marine heritage we have found in Sai Wan and its relevance to Hong Kong in general. As mentioned above, Sai Wan used to be a major commercial area. There used to be active trading of daily necessities on both wholesale and retail terms. Most of these products were imported from elsewhere and were transported by sea. These products would land at Shek Tong Tsui Pier and would be transported to different wholesalers and retailers. To know more about the mechanism as well as the importance of the sea in the business, we interviewed Mr. Lam Tong, a rice wholesaler who is also the present president of the Hong Kong Rice Suppliers Association.
以前嚟嘅南北行嘅就好多南北貨啦，啲後面嘅海味啊，啲係好興旺㗎。而家啲海味行啲轉晒啦，即係你隔離後邊電車路啊，你可以睇下以前海味嘅成行成市㗎嘛。而家第一租行就貴啦，而且又分散啦，四圍新區啲又開放咗啦，咁你嗰啲業務自然分散啊嘛。所以你嗰啲海皮嘅海味啲轉㗎。以前係分開啊嘛，你西區係最緊要係所謂大行頭南北行啦，所以文咸街嗰啲用做南北行嘅集中啦。咁咪呢個電車路呢度得咗咧叫做鹹魚欄啦、海味啦，咁咪所以鹹蝦嗰啲係出名㗎。嗰度道西呢度咧就係米行啦，即係想當年咧就係咁樣啦。全人類海洋即係一環嚟㗎啦，你冇空運海運，咁你同洋有邊樣咧？海運係重要一環嚟㗎，因為你做米你係配套啫嘛，你買賣然之後梗係經過海運嚟㗎，你冇理由話貴重嘅嘢就話要坐飛機啊，而家就話。坐車打船啦，咁就話要快啲咁解啫嘛，冇話舊式嗰啲航運嗰啲舊船環境就唔同啦。
Amidst the prosperous trade, a group of people called coolies received very unfair treatment. During the notorious coolie trade, almost 500,000 men left Chinese shores by ship to work on other countries. Some went willingly, desperate for a chance to improve their lives and escape the poverty and violence in China between the 1800s. However, quite often they were forced to sign themselves into indentures to work abroad in a contract system, or fell into the hands of someone who could advance money for their passage and were auctioned in a credit system. Others were even kidnapped or forced into the system as a result of local feuds and rivalry. Life was hard at the time.
梗係辛苦啦！以前冇機械咁發達啊嘛，因為船埋嚟咧，即係喺海皮咧，就要再俾嗰啲跳板啊，慢慢都包托住行上嚟啊嘛，行上嚟俾佢要轉駁，即係以前50 K 就冇而家咁輕喎，大嘅麻包50 K 重好多嘅喎，咁你托上嚟之後再轉駁，而家托上去淋到好高，就會印嗰啲梯同埋搭跳板上。
Another important product in Sai Wan is salted fish. Salted fish processing and retailing was one of the most dominant industries in Sai Wan. The region around Des Voeux Road West, Mui Fong Street, Santa Street, and Gui Heng Street was also known as the Salted Fish Hood, where fish sellers gathered and hustled in the mid-20th century. At peak times, over 80% of shops in Sai Wan were involved in salted fish selling. Due to their proximity to the pier in the past, These streets developed into a large community of salted fish shops. Old tenement buildings of 4 stories high used to have a processing workshop and a rooftop for curing and drying. Salted fish used to be a popular delicacy, and during Chinese New Year, people from Hong Kong and mainland China would purchase over 50 catties of salted fish for celebration. The business of salted fish originated on the fishing boats. Without refrigerating facilities, fish and salt used to be salted to slow down the decay process. Salt is stuffed into the gills and spread over the fish, and the fish is then put into the wooden box of salt to dehydrate it. After scaling and washing out the fish, its head will be wrapped by a paper, which would eventually be sun-dried on fish boats to keep flies away. As time goes by, economic transformation has changed the source of supply and production of the salted fish industry. Owing to the advancement in fresh fish preservation technology, curing is no longer necessary. Furthermore, urbanization, overfishing, pollution, and globalization also created unfavorable conditions for local production. The future of salted fish industry looks very dim. Nowadays, the products mainly come from Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Thailand. Salted fish sellers are then gradually replaced by dried seafood shops, and there are now scarcely any trace of these salted fish shops. Salted fish food has become one of our collective memory. On the other hand, dried seafood shops along the street expanded in scale and became increasingly prominent. Until now, dried seafood shops can still be seen all around the district, and it still supplies these high-quality ingredients to household and restaurants. In year 2000, the Hong Kong Chinese Medicine Merchants Association and the Hong Kong Tourism Board even proposed the naming of Desvaux Road West as Dried Seafood Street. These seafood shops are arguably the most important part of the district now. In regards to the development of these dried seafood shops, we interviewed Mr. Lee, who has worked in the dried seafood shops for decades.
30街嘛，幾廿年前都即係由嘉湖豐銀行嗰度皇后街開始一路打到落呢度都有㗎，幾十間㗎都係。即係以前都有海味，有賣鹹魚嘅。咁我家鹹魚嗰啲賣鹹魚嗰啲都係剩翻幾間咁啦。喺條街做鋪面就有啲喺橫街啊，有啲搬到橫街啲鋪租貴嗰頭嗰啲。
你鹹魚又同賣海味點樣？
又唔同嘅，呢條街分好清楚嘅，賣海味還海味，賣鹹魚賣鹹魚，賣嗰啲鹹雜即係梅菜啊、蒜頭啊、薑啊嗰啲
全部一齊嘅一間。
另外一行分好清楚嘅。行業咧都即係喺香港開始繁榮進步嗰陣咧，都係跟住即係提升咗佢嘅咁啊！你嗰啲做即係可以譬如細街咁做啊，做又大間啲咁係嘛？有啲啊裝修得好啲啊咁啊。
但係對你嘅生計會有啲咩直接嘅影響？
即係啲人嘅，即係普遍嘅打工啊，啲市民都係隨住個收入增加咗，提升咗個生活水準啦。香港嘅海味海產大部分都係進口嘅，大部分係進口嘅。依家即係你講鮑魚啊、江魚柱啊嗰啲就係日本嚟嘅比較最好咯。江魚柱我哋本地人叫江魚柱咧，佢嘅學名叫做元貝，就係北海道出嘅，日本北海道出嘅叫最好。
即係大部分嘢都係以前都咁有冇啲咩係香港自己本土做啊，或者係你自己整嘅？
冇啊，絕無僅有。以前咧嗰啲章魚啊、墨魚就本土有得出，但係依家都即係式微喎，嗰啲行業多數都係中國大陸捕撈咗曬乾加工咗再拎嚟香港賣。多 數係海路或者陸路都有嘅。
但係呢啲海尾呢啲嘢咧，可唔可以用貨櫃過嚟？即係會唔會話？
高龍柱嗰啲係啦，高龍柱原貝嗰啲係原貝同鮑魚嗰啲係多數係貨櫃嚟。
Seems that sea trade has been very important to the development of Sai Wan as a whole. The coastal factor is crucial to the flourishing of Sai Wan in the past. With all the sea trade activities we have seen previously, we could understand the important role played by Sai Wan in the past. However, since the economic structure of Hong Kong changed dramatically in the recent decades, sea trade, along with Sai Wan, minimizes their impact in the economy of Hong Kong. The new generation devote themselves to work in business fields in Central, rather than take charge of the old branded shops in Sai Wan.
都係依家點講咧，都係漸漸式微嘅呢啲都係，即係後生嗰輩又唔願入行，我哋10零20歲做到依家都60幾啦，係嘛？即係等於有啲仔女咁讀到你哋咁樣，佢又出邊揾嘢做啊嘛，唔願意翻嚟啊嘛。
As everyone knows, our central business district is almost fully occupied. Companies have been seeking alternative places to locate their offices. Sai Wan is seen as a potential alternative by many property developers due to its proximity with Central as well as the upcoming establishment of the MTR West Island Line. We could see that the rent has been increasing in Sai Wan lately, forcing residents and traditional shops and restaurants away from Sai Wan. These symbolize permanent loss to the culture in Sai Wan. Despite all these, we could still observe intimate relationship between people in this community. They have developed a strong bonding between each other. A friendly pet or a short chat when they meet strongly strengthens their bonding. Besides that, Chinese restaurants serve as a spectacular gathering place for the residents in this district. There are many famous Chinese restaurants nearby, including Lin Hang, Gousing, Wan. People used to bring their birds with them to the restaurants and put on bird fights. Although this cannot be seen anymore, the restaurants still preserve many traditional culture, distinguish themselves from modern Chinese restaurants. These include the setting of the restaurants, the utensils they are using, as well as the way they make tea. From abundant economic activities to rich cultural heritage, every detail of the past livelihood in Sai Wan can be traced back to its oceanic origin. The sea has indeed breeded our ancestors and is continuing to produce food, water, and different resources to mankind, and is indeed our marine heritage. From the interviews we have conducted, we can also see how important sea transport is to Hong Kong. We really hope that the dispute at the cargo ports can be resolved soon so that we can secure this lifeline of ours. Despite the very importance of Sai Wan and the sea, we are currently depriving this valuable asset at an astonishing rate as our growing population demands more land for economic development. The question now is there a sustainable mode of development that can balance preservation and our economic needs? Is there anything worth holding onto this district? When one drinks water, one must not forget where it comes from. Perhaps this Chinese saying can give you some insights when you formulate your own conclusion.
咁你有經驗啊嘛？
係啊，咁咪自己幾十年啦，喺度打滾。
都唔話係屋企嚟嘅，即係上一兩代都係做呢行嘅。
車路啊！我哋啱啱我哋。